Powder, charcoal, and sachets. Welcome back to Sound the Siren. I'm Xavier.
I'm Dylan, and we have a special guest today. Corey, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Glad to be here, boys. Thanks for having me.
So today is the fourth segment of the starting positions. We're going to do top 10 shooting guards in the NBA. Anything to say?
Nothing from me. Let's get into it. Who wants to go first?
Don't mind. Up to you.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Special guest.
Special guest.
All right. Well, this one's gonna cause some controversy, but at number 10, I have Klay Thompson. I have him at number 10 just because I feel like he wouldn't be a star if he didn't have other great players around him. I feel like he couldn't carry a team if he was on let's say if he was on Phoenix without Devin Booker and stuff like that on there. And I feel like the other 9 players above him are just overall just better players. So yeah, that's why I have him number 10.
Okay.
Even though he's a 5-time All-Star and a 3-time champ, so I still have him at number 10.
Jeez, that's harsh.
I've got him a bit higher on my list, but
I do too. You go next, Dave.
My number 10, Zach LaVine. Good shooter, good dunker, but hasn't played any winning basketball. Averaging 25.5 points, 3.5 assists, 3.5 steals, but his defense isn't quite there. More than a dunker, though.
Yeah, definitely.
He's explosive on offense and his defense as well to match. Before I get in my number 10, I have to say a couple honorable mentions because they hurt a lot. Buddy Hield, C.J.McCollum, I couldn't fit them in the list, and Karis LeVert, Drew Holiday. They're severely underrated, but sorry, boys, couldn't fit you in. But my number 10 as well, Zach LaVine. I've got a fair amount of things to say about Zach. One of my favourite players in the league. Averages 25 this year, as you said, Zave. And I don't know if you remember that game earlier this year when he hit 13 threes against Charlotte. They were down by 8 with 45 seconds left, and they just went berserk in the last few possessions.
Hit the game winner too.
Yeah, hit the game winner after getting the steal, capping off a historic night for him. And I think, as you said, his attributes underrated, the ability to throw down with ease, and his athleticism is unmatchable.
Your number 9, Corey?
My number 9 is Lou Williams. He averages 18.7 points and 5.7 assists, 3-time Sixth Man of the Year, and a great second unit. He provides great shooting for that second unit and really carries the second unit for the Clippers. So that's why I have him at number 9.
Just before I do my number 9, I'd like to give the honourable mention to Buddy Hield and Lou Williams as well. I think Lou Williams is one of the best spark plugs ever to be in the NBA, just buckets off the bench. But my number 9, C.J. McCollum, 22.5 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, good shooter, good backup star or secondary star to Dame.
What's your thoughts on Portland as a group?
I reckon they're underrated and they're unlucky to miss the playoffs this year with Nurkic injuries. They've been suffering injuries. Nurkic injured, Zach Collins injured. Sam Whiteside, though, big bright spot for them this year. Dame, CJ, obviously still very good players.
Brownie, anything to say about Portland? I think they've been a bit disappointing.
Yeah, well, you can't do much when you have all your good centers out. You need a good center in NBA. So without a good center, it's hard to get like offensive boards and stuff like that. All crucial in a close game.
Yeah,
maybe a reason.
Yeah, Nurkic is extremely underrated. Huge part of the defense. My number 9, Victor Oladipo. On an interesting Pacers team, he's taken a step back, but only because of his injury. But when he came back from his injury, he averaged 14 points on 30% three-point shooting, which could have been affected by his injury. I hope he comes back strong after the hiatus because I do like him as a player. And I think he leads Indiana very nicely.
Yeah, I was going to put him in there, but I looked at his stats and, like you said, 14 points because of that injury. I just couldn't fit him in with the great players in my list. So
I think last year I had Victor Oladipo probably like fourth, and I'm not going to lie, I 100% forgot about him this year.
Yeah.
But I hope he can fit back into
Yeah.
the Pacers lineup then.
It's not all about stats though, Brownie. I know he's averaged 14.
Yeah.
I think this year his stats are probably a bit down though because of his injury.
Yeah.
We'll have to see what he's looking like next year and the year after.
Yeah.
And I think Indiana could have done a better job against Boston in the playoffs last year, but we'll see what they offer when they come back. Should be interesting. You're number 8, Brownie.
My number 8 is C.J.McCollum. He obviously 22.5 points, like you boys said before. 4.3 assists. A very underrated player. His points are up from like overall career. His career is 18.4 and he's up to 22.5. Very underrated player, and I feel like Damian Lillard takes a lot of his spotlight, and so he's number 8.
I think he just needs a bit of consistency. I do like him as a player, and it really hurt me to not put him into the top 10 because last year, for sure, he was in my top 10. He's just taken, kind of like Oladipo, he's taken a little step back, maybe because they're just not gelling together as a whole.
I think also C.J. McCollum is one of the best players, and as far as like the media goes, his podcast is great. Not quite as good as ours though. My number 8, DeMar DeRozan. I think he goes under the radar a lot, as Corey was saying before. Ever since he left Toronto, he hasn't quite been in the spotlight as much. Wasn't an All-Star last year or this year. I think that's probably got something to do with being in the West, but still averaging 22 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and a steal a game. So, good player.
Yeah, I can agree with that. My number 8 too, DeMar DeRozan, and I think people want to say he's regressing, but contrary to that, he's proven he's still clutch. He averages 22, as you said, and I love his game. He really took on the Kobe mentality, his strength of mid-range footwork and the ability to draw fouls. And he's only attempted 33s this season compared to 287 a couple seasons ago. So he's definitely adapted, allowing the Spurs shooters, Bellinelli, Dejounte Murray, to get a bit more of the ball. So,
yeah. Well, going on that, my number 7 is DeMar DeRozan. So, same as what you boys said. He's a 4-time All-Star, but definitely gone under the radar. And, you don't really get much talks about the Spurs these days. But hopefully they can get up to the finals soon.
Oh, I disagree. I love seeing them finally rebuilding. You know, they've had the years of fame.
Yeah, as a Heat fan, I'm sure.
They beat down us in 2014. That didn't make me happy, but yeah, they're and considering that they lost, Timmy Duncan and even Ginobili Parker, they've just rebuilt very nicely. Yeah, so they've rebuilded well. I know they've got a losing record, but they will be deadly in years to come, I think. So, your number 7?
My number 7, Drew Holiday. I know you didn't have him on your list still, but I reckon one of the most underrated players in the league, and I would go as far as to say maybe even the most underrated player in the league. He's just a one-time All-Star back in Philly, but almost 20 points a game, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and probably a top 5 defensive guard in the league.
I
think underrated piece of the Pelicans and offers good guidance to their young core.
Yeah, no one really talks about his years at Philly. I'm not too sure why, because he was a stud then. I think people kind of expected him just to keep improving, which he was like that for a little bit. Just hang on, yeah, there we go. He works well with Zion and Josh Hart. Lonzo. So
him and AD work really good when he was there.
Yeah, and Rondo and Boogie. That was a good team.
Yeah.
I wish they didn't get rid of Boogie.
For the playoffs.
My number 7 is Donovan Mitchell. Could be a bit low. He's averaging 24 points in his 3rd season, and the only downside to his game, this is a personal opinion, the amount of shots he takes. in his rookie season, he'd confidently take about 35 shots a game, which isn't a bad thing because confidence is key, but, it costs the team sometimes. He has maintained that field goal percent consistency, though, throughout his career. And I think Utah will need to handle the conflict of him and Rudy Gobert.
I think the recent reports of saying that their relationship's healed a little bit. So that'll be an interesting one in the off season. Looking forward to seeing how that unravels.
Well, they're sitting fourth, so they're high up there.
They are, and I think that Donovan and Rudy, I want to say they complement each other, but in the Centers podcast, I said I wasn't a big fan of Rudy. But they all do work together. They've got those key players like Royce O'Neal, who's huge for them. He started over Joe Ingles just recently. But recently, I mean 2 months ago. But so they're an interesting team, Utah.
I watched something just fairly recently. It was about the best pick and roll duos in the NBA, and I think Rudy Gobert and Joe Ingles had the best efficiency in the league, and Donovan Mitchell and Rudy went top 5. So I think that's a interesting thing to look at. But I do think they're a pretty good matchup.
Yeah, I was sad when I saw Ingles get replaced in the starting lineup for Utah. But, hopefully he get back to his good 3-point shooting days and get back on the starting lineup.
Yeah, he's become more of a facilitator now, but he's doing very well over there. So, your number 6, Brandon.
My number 6 is Zach LaVine. He's averaging obviously 25.5 points and 4.2 assists. I reckon I really like Zach LaVine. He's a very underrated player on a not very good team. His career points were 17.7 points and 3.6 assists. So that means his points are up by 7.8 points and 0.6 assists, which proves that he's improved as a player on Chicago. From Minnesota's bench to starting on Chicago, he's developed to being a good player and might be a all-star soon, I reckon.
Yeah, we discussed last week that they've had issues with the coach. Are you thinking the same?
Yeah, but I reckon you can always climb another mountain with the coach, get over it, and move on. But it's just up to them, to be honest, to work it out.
Very true.
My number 6, Klay Thompson, for a lot of the same reasons that Corey said, but I've got a few more. He's one of the ultimate winners with his 3 championships. And I think, although he's probably not suited to be the best first option, because his playmaking and pretty much just playmaking is lacking, but his shooting and his defense is elite. All defensive team last year, one of the best 3-point shooters of all time, 21.5 points, 1 steal, pretty much all you can ask for. Also, his ability to score without the ball. I think the game that he made broke the record for most threes, he had just as many points as he did dribbles. So it's impressive.
And thoughts on the Warriors next year, contenders?
I think definitely. I reckon if they get one of the top picks and Wiggins, that could be a good draft, good trade pieces for another star to go along with Clay, Draymond, and Steph. I think they could contend next year for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
And somehow they always manage to get a good role-playing center. Through the years they've had Zaza, JaVale, Willie Cauley-Stein. It didn't last long there, but
Bogut as well.
Yeah, Bogut as well. So they somehow managed to find that center who just plays the perfect role.
They probably could get Cousins back. Didn't he? He got released to free agency.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, they probably could get him back.
That'd be interesting.
I think the Lakers might steal him though.
Yeah.
I'll get to Klay Thompson in a minute. My number 6 is Devin Booker. On an average Phoenix side, but he's averaging 26, 6, and 6 assists as well. The first time Phoenix have come up in the last 3 weeks, Zave, what's your opinion on Aaron Baines?
Aaron Baines, very good role player, obviously an Australian, so close to probably all of our hearts. His game just before, fairly recently, just before the quarantine. I think he had some ridiculous amount of threes.
37, yeah.
Developed into a good stretch five, can play a bit of defense. I think it's a bit of a loss for the Celtics, and also has a good amethyst card in 2K. So.
Aaron Baines should be one to watch in the Olympics when it's on. I think they'll be better than they have been easily. The team well-rounded now.
Especially if they can get Ben Simmons to play.
Yeah, Benny Simmons would be massive for us. Back to Book, his shot creating is certainly scary when he's on a roll, and he can just create shots that suit his play style, fading to his right or left, and he draws fouls as well. Good free throw shooter, and he was the 13th pick, which I don't know how Phoenix got away with that, to be honest. Brownie?
For my fifth. I've got Donovan Mitchell. Same thing as what Dylan said, 24.2 points, 4.2 assists. First time All-Star. He does chuck up a lot of shots, like you said, Dylan, but I think he's a very good player, a very elite player for the Utah the next couple of years, or his whole career. And I think he's a very good player, and that's why he's number 4.
It's amazing to see how much potential the young guys nowadays have. Like you see Donovan Mitchell, you got Jason Tatum, you've got Zion, you've got Ja Morant, and they're all like first, second, third year players, and they already look like superstars. Luka as well.
Luka and Trae Young.
Yeah.
Devin Booker's just like the same age as them as well. So.
That is true, yeah.
My number 5, same as Corey, Donovan Mitchell, 24 points, led his team to the playoffs as a rookie. Not much more you can say, as well as the first-time All-Star appearance this year.
My number 5 is Klay Thompson. I am shocked Brownie put him 10th, to be honest. He finished last year off averaging 21 and a half. He holds the record for threes in a game for a reason. He's the best catch and shoot player in the league by a mile, and he's my favorite player to watch when he's on fire.
Yeah.
If he wasn't at Golden State, I'd say he'd just about be my favorite player, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know.
And he's a funny man too, which I like in a player. I like the funny ones. They're good.
Yeah, and Steph and Klay, you can't get a better duo. Okay, yeah. It's just ridiculous.
Match each other's strengths and weaknesses as well. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Your number 4, Corey?
Number 4 is Devin Booker. Averaging 26.1 points, 6.6 assists. First time All-Star a couple of seasons ago. I reckon he's very unlucky not to make the last couple. I reckon he could have gone into those All-Star games very easily, but what can you do? Just keep on improving, and I reckon he'll be a great player for the future of the Suns. And yeah.
I know we somehow get off topic every time. Can we just acknowledge how good the All-Star game was this year?
Yeah. That was good. Probably the best one I've ever watched in my short time of following basketball.
Competitive, that last, the last possessions, and they just put their bodies on the line.
Yeah.
Maximum.
Yeah, we haven't seen that in a while, have we?
No, not.
They just go like a finals game. So, yeah. My
number 4, I think our list is starting to look pretty similar, Corey. Devin Booker, 26 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, sorry. First time All-Star this year, snubbed last year, I reckon, and I was furious this year when I thought he was snubbed again, but then he got in as the injury replacement, so pretty lucky for him. Good player. I think he matches pretty well with DeAndre Ayton, but I'd like to see him traded to the Timberwolves or go there in free agency eventually to play with his good friends D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns. I'd love to see that trio.
That'd be a good trio.
Yeah. I reckon if they could just get some good defensive pieces around them for a small price, I reckon they could be championship contenders for sure.
Yeah, easy.
Jeez, I'm just unsure if my list's just completely wrong or if you guys just think similarly. My number 4 is Luka Doncic, and I have no doubt he will be the best guard in a few years. But for now, the Rookie of the Year is 4th in my list. He's averaging 29 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, which, as I said before, it's ridiculous for a second-year player. He has no limits. I don't think he has any limits. I could see him being one of the greats when he's finished. Him and Dirk, all-time Mavericks players. He has the perfect team around him too. And Dallas have surprised some people, but I kind of was expecting this form. So, Corey, do you think, or why do you think, Luka receives so much criticism from the public? Because some people call him one-dimensional, but I think his defense will improve.
I reckon he'll get MVP in the future, to be honest, and Hall of Famer for the Mavericks.
Yeah.
I reckon he could do a Dirk and stay there his whole career.
I agree. He seems like a Mavericks lifer to me.
Yeah.
He'll be there forever, I reckon.
Yeah, can agree with that.
Your number 3, Corey?
My number 3 is Bradley Beal. He's averaging 30.5 points and 6.1 assists. 2-time All-Star. Very underrated. He goes under the radar a lot on that Wizards team. I feel like he wasn't an All-Star because he didn't have the help in John Wall all season, the injury. He is obviously the main star of the Wizards team, and with no help, that team's not going to probably go anywhere. His points are up 9.5 points and 2.1 assists from last season. So he's literally trying to do it all on the Wizards team. And I feel like he literally can't do anything else. He needs the help. He needs John Wall back to improve the team. And, because he might leave.
Yeah.
He could leave.
Although I think he just signed a long-term deal.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was shocked when he resigned.
Yeah, same.
But,
There's still reports everywhere that he's going to leave eventually, though.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd want to play in Washington, but
Yeah.
you never know. When John Wall does come back from his injury, I think if they get the help around them, which they've had in previous years, they could be a potential contender, or not contender, but, top 6 seed.
I think John Wall flies a lot under the radar. I think a lot of people forget that he was a very, very good player. If he comes back half the player he was before he got injured, he's still going to be an all-star. So be interesting to see that as well.
They get a good fourth or fifth spot, like a power forward or center. That'd be a very good team as well.
Yeah.
My number 3, Corey. First difference for a while. I've got Luka. So ridiculous stats: 28.7 points, 9.3 rebounds, 8.7 assists. Just second-year player. Not much else can be said. I think the Mavericks lifer for sure, I reckon.
Yeah.
My number 3, I know you boys had him as a small forward, but that's Jimmy Butler. It's maybe a little bias kicking in, but I've watched the man lead the Heat all year, and he couldn't be a better role model for the young guys. Hero, Nunn, Duncan Robinson, they've just come alive this year. Jimmy's averaging 26.5 rebounds and 6 assists, which may not seem special, but it's the advanced stats that count. Because he doesn't need to shoot, just supply for teammates with his diverse playing style. When he's on the court, Miami is scoring on 58% field goals, as well as having a plus-minus of 5.2. So
I think Jimmy Butler, he definitely would have made my list, but he's on my small forwards list, so obviously he couldn't. But
same.
All-round player, gets points, rebounds, assists, plays good defense. So.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the Heat?
I don't think they're quite contenders, but obviously I think they've outperformed a lot of people's expectations before the season started. So,
Corey?
Yeah, I reckon they've played very good this season. Also get in the finals, but I can just keep developing, and I reckon a couple of years you might be very good contenders.
Yeah, as you said, good young core, but I still have like Philly, Boston, and obviously the Bucks in front of them. So.
Yeah.
Corey? Number 2, Corey?
My number 2 is Luka Doncic. Like you boys said before, he's averaging nearly a triple-double, 28.7 points, 9.3 rebounds, and 8.7 assists. It was Rookie of the Year, first-time All-Star. He's a great player for the Mavericks, and like I said before, I reckon he might stay there his whole career there and be a Hall of Famer. That's why he's number 2. I think he's a
It'll
great
be
player.
interesting to see where Kristaps goes with his career, whether he'll stay at Dallas or move along. But I would like to stay. If I was Kristaps, I would personally stay with Luka.
Yeah, bright future for sure.
Very good picture.
My number 2, Bradley Beal. Same reasons as you boys have said. 30 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Good player, playing on an interesting team. Not a good team, but they can turn it on their night. They've scored. I think they were in that. I think it was against Houston. They scored like the 150 points. I think like Davis Bertans, interesting team, but yeah, nothing's going to happen until they get John Wall back. So we'll have to see what happens there.
Yeah, Brad's been tearing the game apart this year. He's my number 2 as well, but it could because Wall isn't the primary scorer that he's taken off. But I want to know, do you think they work as a duo?
I think they could. I'm not sure that they will, but I think they could. Also, I forgot to say, for him to not make the All-Star team this year, it's ridiculous. He's playing in the East and averaging 30 points, and he doesn't make even a reserve spot. I had him as a starter in my predictions, but he didn't even make the reserves. So.
I feel like if Harden and Westbrook can make it work, I think anyone can make it work.
Yeah.
But have they been making it work?
I reckon they're doing fine. For both of them to go from hogging the ball or doing everything to passing it off more, I reckon they're doing good for their first season. I reckon they're traveling all right.
I think it's not working out perfectly. I don't think they're going to win a chip, but I think it's working out better than I thought it was going to at the start of the season.
Yeah.
Obviously, Russ isn't ball hogging and getting his triple doubles this season. Not even leading the league, let alone averaging one. But I think both of them have had good seasons this year.
Yeah, he's a controversial player because of his style. Obviously, we're all talking about him. He's our number 1. Averaging 34, 6, 7, and then 2 steals and a block. I still think the Rockets need a center, though. I don't think PJ Tucker can hold his own.
Yeah, exactly.
I 100% agree. I didn't agree with that trade. I love Robert Covington, but to trade a top 10 center in the league and one of their best players for another forward and then play PJ Tucker at the center, I don't think that's a very good move at all, to be honest.
Exactly.
But the Rockets, can they contend is the question.
I don't think they could, to be honest.
Yeah, I touched on this just before. I don't think that they will. When they face the Lakers, I saw this meme, and it was 3 adult men that were throwing around a baby, and it had JaVale, AD, and Dwight when they come up against PJ Tucker. That pretty much sums up the situation well.
Yeah, that's Xavier's weekly meme for you. But I think it'll be interesting because they've beaten the Lakers at LA this year multiple times, maybe. Definitely once. So, yeah, I wish this didn't happen, and I wish we could have the conference finals right now. Lakers Clippers would have been the battle of the maybe.
Finals LeBron is a different makes the whole team different.
Yeah.
Goat James. If he makes the finals this year, I guarantee that he'll win. I'm guaranteeing it.
There's Xavier's bias kicking in.
he will average a triple double in the playoffs. In the finals, sorry, a 30-point triple double. He'll lead the Lakers to the championship, win another Finals MVP. Unanimous GOAT.
Well, in 2016, the historic one, he had 38 and 11. That was a 7-game series, so I'm sure he can do it again. He's only getting better with age.
That's facts, like fine wine.
Yeah, exactly.
Any other questions?
That's it from me.
That's it for me.
All right, well, that wraps it up for this week. Next week will be the point guards. And I guess we'll see you then. Until next time.